How you doing, everybody? I'm Ken Bykoff, and welcome to the Peegs postgame from outside Memorial Stadium. The Curt Cignetti era is off to a great start thanks to a 31-7 win over Florida International. There was a lot to like about what we saw from the Hoosiers in the season opener. Again, I'm thrilled to be joining you from the parking lot outside Memorial Stadium, and I'm even more thrilled to have the opportunity to take your calls and talk IU football. The number is 812-393-2600, and the lines are open. Let's start with what I really liked about the Hoosiers in the first game of the season. I liked a lot of the play calls. I thought it was a very solidly called game for the Hoosiers. I think that they were, for a first game, I was impressed with what I saw. Everything wasn't perfect, but it was a very nice outing, and there weren't a lot of head scratchers that we've seen kind of in the past. There was a little bit of inventiveness, a little bit of nothing too flashy, but there were wrinkles, I think, that were really important for the very first game and getting a sense of what this offense is going to look like. I thought IU ran the ball really, really well. The Hoosiers running for 234 yards on the day, throwing for 180, 414 total yards, and you can't complain about that for a season opener. I thought that was a very, very solid job, and I really liked what I saw out of Tyson Lawton. Justin Ellison was impressive. I liked the way he hit the hole. I really liked the poise from Curtis Rourke in his first outing. I thought that he did a fantastic job. He was decisive. He didn't try to do too much, and he played like the veteran that he is. And I was impressed with tight end Zach Horton. I'm a big fan of tight ends. I think they could be a heck of a weapon, and if he can be a weapon, it makes a world of difference. Saw Miles Price do some nice things in terms of catching the ball. I liked the way the offensive line and the defensive line both controlled the line of scrimmage really well. I thought that was really great. We've seen other non-conference games, early games in which Indiana maybe did not he just wasn't they don't dominate the line of scrimmage or control the line of scrimmage. They did that in this one. I think that was really important. I like the Hoosiers pass rush. Pretty much, they were disruptive. They were disruptive in the backfield. I think they did a great job with that. And the defense played well overall. They seemed to respond after halftime, which was really important. The Hoosiers give up one touchdown on the day. There were some mistakes along the way, but I think that they did a really nice job. And they were simply, disciplined for most of the game. They got sloppy late in the game. And so you still need improvement. Old habits are hard to break, but there's a lot of new guys here. And so that is something that is going to be worked on. It's clear Curt Cignetti was not real happy with the second half, even though it was a shutout second half. He was not real happy with what they were seeing. Now, what I didn't like, defense was a little sluggish late in the first half. Didn't care for that. And it is FIU, and you want to be able to really get the job done, but that it was sluggish, and that is something obviously Curt Cignetti's not going to be real happy with. There were some missed opportunities along the way that left points on the field that, again, you can get away with against FIU, but it was you just felt like Indiana should have put up more points than they did, and they didn't. I also was not wild about the students leaving at halftime. Now, it was a warm day, but leaving at halftime of a 14-point game in the first game for a new head coach is not a great look at all. People wanted Tom Allen gone, and they got what they wanted, and the stadium cleared out, especially in the student section at halftime. Need a little bit more dedication than that, and he talked about it in his postgame, just about how the Hoosiers needed to be able to keep people in the stands. He said you have to play well to keep them here, but it was a situation where the Hoosiers needed to, the fans need to be part of this. Curt Cignetti is doing his best to try to change this program. I like what I've seen from him so far, and just to open the season, to have the stadium kind of empty out, I think was something that was a little bit surprising for me to see. The number, 812-393-2600. We have wide open phone lines right now. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your thoughts on what your impressions of Curt Cignetti, his first time out. Please give me a call. I want to hear it, whether it's on chat, whether it's on giving me a call. just want to hear what you have to say. This is a show I think that has I've been host of the call-in show on the radio for 13 years, and this is a great place to vent, to hear from fans. I want to hear from you. Again, the number 812-393-2600. Please don't be afraid to give me a call. This is an Indiana ball club that you had the first 3 and out, and so it's the first game of the season. You're going to have a little bit of a problem in terms of just getting up and running quickly. But I liked what I saw out of that defense. I liked the way that Indiana quickly responded after that first 3 and out. I think they scored touchdowns on their first 3 possessions, or their next 3 possessions. So 3 of the 5 possessions in the second half. One of them was just kind of a kneel down at the end of the first half. That was something that I think really was what really bothered Curt Cignetti. He's going to make a good meme of him being able to say, hey, at the end of the first half, he was asked what he was going to say to the team in the locker room, and he just kind of chuckled. And I think that's something that Hoosier fans were happy to see, because they were feeling the same way. I think all in all, look, you're happy with the win. You're happy with a lot of what you saw from this Hoosier ball club, but I just am not sure if it is a situation where they were playing at a high enough level for Curt Cignetti's comfort, to say the least. The number again, 812-393-2600. Lines are wide open, so please give me a call. Let me know if you could hear me. I think that's something that's really important as well. If somebody could just throw in the chat that they could hear me, I hope you're not just sitting there just waiting to hear from me. But please give me a call. 812-393-2600 is the number, and I want to hear from you. Again, looking over the stats here, Curtis Rourke, 15 of 24 passing, 180 yards, and a touchdown. Really liked his decisiveness. Really liked what I saw from him quite a bit. The running game, Tyson Lawton, 16 carries, 74 yards, had a couple of touchdowns. Ellison, 10 carries, 68 yards. The Green Kid had a garbage time, 51-yard touchdown as well. But what impressed me the most in this one is just the way the defense played, and that is what really made me happy. We have our first caller. So, caller, when you're on the air, caller, if you could go ahead and tell us your name and where you're from, you're live.
Yep. Hey, Kevin from Midland. I've talked to you before.
Well, welcome, Kevin. How are you doing?
Good. A couple things. First of all, the 2 questions deal with McNully and with Walker, because Walker took himself out of the game late in the game. He had a big hit, and he kind of, so I didn't know if he was injured or just what the deal was, and maybe there may be an update on that. I'm guessing that Donovan may have gotten a slight concussion. That's just a guess, because they said he was not cleared to play. Hopefully, it's just a short-term thing. I think there's a lot more positive to this than people want to give him credit for. Number one, blending a whole lot of people together. I mean, we have 40, 50 new guys, blending them all together. Number one, learning an entire new system for half the team. I think that we got ahead, and then we kind of took a break, is the best way to describe it. Relaxed. I think in the second half, you saw some changes. I think you saw the defensive coordinator start getting up in a little bit more press coverage and not giving them 10 and 15-yard cushions. Other than that one drive, I thought the defense was as good as I've seen in a couple of years. Better than Tom Allen ever had, to be honest with you. They flew around. I loved the linebacker play. I thought that was solid. And, I just think that, you hear some stuff, read some stuff, you say, this and that. No, it's first game. They adjusted. And the thing with the other thing too is I thought Cignetti he's not accepting, he's not jumping up and down and cheerleading and hugging guys and doing all this stuff and everything else. He's coaching a football game. You could see that he was into that game, and he was not letting anything get away from him. We have a football coach, and I can see where they're going to be in 4 years. They're going to be they're going to be solid. So that's all I got to say. All right.
Okay. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for the call. I really appreciate it. And, there's a lot to unpack there. So let's go ahead and let's start with the injuries. Walker, I haven't heard. Donovan McCulley, again, coaches tend not to talk about that too much right after the game, but I can tell you that just from being at the game and watching him walk into the tent, he was in the tent for quite some time, getting checked out. He finally did come back out. He had his helmet and walked over by the receivers, but he didn't come back out there. I thought that was a play, too, that should have been reviewed because that was a straight-up helmet-to-helmet hit that he took, and I really felt like they should have been able to take a look at that as a possible penalty. That's supposedly the kind of plays that they're trying to eliminate, and they didn't even take a look at it. So hopefully it's not going to be anything long-term with Donovan. If he wasn't cleared to play, are you looking at a concussion protocol? That's pure speculation on my part, but he did take a helmet to helmet, and he did kind of come bouncing out of the tent a little bit. So it wasn't a thing where I've seen guys come out and they're really hanging their head. That wasn't the case. So hopefully he was kept out for precautionary reasons. You might see that, depending on how it is even next week as well, because we know what Donovan McCulley could do, and he needs to get the reps, obviously, but that is something that's important. So it could very well just be a concussion situation. Now, as for the defense did play really, really well. And it's really important that we not overlook that. Giving up 7 points, really just one bad drive where they were kind of sluggish. I like that Sig was really pushing that and pointing to that, because to me that's the kind of attitude that you need to have. Is if you do something well, it's great to get a pat on the back, but making stops, doing stuff like that, the players can have plenty of emotions. Now, you talk about, reference Tom Allen jumping up and down and being a cheerleader and all that. Different strokes for different folks. That's just how that works. Cignetti is a no-nonsense guy, and he's going to run with it that way. So I think that it's this was an encouraging first game. There's a lot to clean up, to say the least. There's a lot to clean up, but very excited about what I saw on both sides of the ball, and looking forward to more. 812-393-2600 is the number. We have on the chat, we have Douglas Harper asking talk about what you saw from the offensive line in terms of pass protection. And I saw a couple of things just in terms of pass protection. First off, I thought they did a very nice job of creating a pocket for Curtis Rourke, and he was very patient in that pocket. He played, again, like the veteran that he is. I think that was important, and he also showed a little bit of escapability that is really, really important as well. He impressed me, not with mobility or anything like that, but just he was able to escape a little bit, and I thought that the offensive line, for the most part, did a pretty decent job of protecting him. There were a couple of times in the second half that may have been a little bit less than clean, but again, Rourke, I think, did a great job of keeping his poise, not trying to do too much with the ball, and giving himself that opportunity to really find an open man. And the offensive line also is a work in progress. It's early in the season, but I really, really think that there is some potential there. I think that's really important. Number 812-393-2600. I'm dying for your calls right now, but next one, Matthew on the chat. Does Green move up the depth chart after his fourth quarter performance? And I don't think that's going to be the case. First off, Indiana doesn't have a depth chart that they publish. That is something that's different this year than it has been in the past. And I think that that's really it's normal. I've never been a huge fan of depth charts as it is, but I understand why people want to talk about that. I think certainly he could maybe get a few more carries along the way. Maybe just getting your feet wet and being able to bust off a long run, I think, is important. But liked what I saw from Lawton, liked what I saw from Ellison. Having Green back there and having a fourth quarter like he did, I think is really can go a long way towards really making him be another weapon, that third back that the Hoosiers can count on. Want to go next to the caller? Tell me your name and where you're from.
Hey, this is Jim from Atlanta. Just one quick question. I know McCulley didn't start the game, looked like Omar Cooper was out there to start. Do we think that's going to be something that happens throughout the season? Is Cooper looking to be the starter across from Surratt, or do we think that McCulley will be back out there when he's healthy? Bye.
Well, thanks so much for the call. Really appreciate it. And, I think Sig is the kind of guy that who starts the game is unimportant to him. Starting quarterback obviously is part of it, but, which receivers are out there, I think that that's something that is not going to be a big deal. It's whoever they want to trot out there. So you have Cooper out there for the first snap, but Cooper and McCulley were going back and forth, quite a bit, basically switching out for one another while they were in the ball game. And so, again, for Sig, I don't think that who's starting is going to be a big part of the equation here. I really don't. So I wouldn't read too much into that. There's a lot of talent in that receiver room, I will say that. And, McCulley is obviously one of those guys. And when healthy, he's going to be a weapon. But the beauty of it is you do have a lot of weapons at your disposal with this ball club. The Hoosiers completed passes to 7 different receivers today. Loved the hands that I saw from Price. Again, I mentioned Zach Horton earlier. Surratt had 2 catches for 12 yards. Price 4 catches for 29 yards. Didn't make big things happen, but I think certainly showed a lot of potential with the way that they played in this one. Got a question in the chat saying, any idea why Magnum Farrar didn't play much? If any, it seems like Andrew Turvey, the walk-on, will be a surprise on defensive end. I think that Magnum Farrar did play. He got out there. Don't have any insight on why he may not have been on the field earlier, but he did get out there and spend some time on the field. Look, with the new coaching staff, you have to impress a coaching staff all over again with the way that you approach the game, the way that you play, everything that goes along with it, and everybody has a clean slate. Look, there are, I think it's 54 new people on this ball club, and what you may have done in the past and the playing time you may have gotten in the past is really irrelevant. And, the bottom line is they are going to do their best to get the guys who are productive on the field. He did play, though. He did get on the field a little bit in the second half. We'll see if that continues. Phone lines are open, 812-393-2600, but I don't mind at all answering some of the questions on the chat. Jamie asked thoughts on the defensive line. Again, I thought they were disruptive. I thought that they did a nice job of being disruptive, of not losing contain very often. And I thought that they took good angles. You had one roughing the passer penalty in the first half. That was just an absolute garbage call by the officials. It didn't impact the game. It did give FIU a first down, but it was just a straight-up football play. There was nothing there. The guy who threw the flag was, 20 yards behind the play. Couldn't have possibly seen if it was helmet to helmet because he was behind the play. Defender had his helmet in front of the quarterback, hit him with the shoulder. Just an absolute trash penalty that he called, and that was that kind of stuff really bothers me. I don't care if it's the first game of the season. First off, the call came late because the guy thought about it for a little bit, then decided to go ahead and throw it. But then they backed that up by not reviewing the call that was clearly helmet to helmet on McCulley, and that kind of thing really bothers me. It really, really bothers me. It is just really, really frustrating to see that kind of inconsistency. It didn't cost anybody anything in this one, but hey, you want to keep the game safer, call the penalty when it is a helmet to helmet. Number 812-393-2600. Please give me a call. Lines are open. We also have another thoughts on certain fans saying this is the same old IU, and it's way too early for that. And that, I think, is really, really important. It is way, way too early to say those kind of things because of the fact that Indiana just won 31-7, shut out an opponent in the second half, gave up one touchdown that was on a drive where they played sluggishly. But what is it about this game that would make anybody say same old IU? It's just ridiculous to consider that this early in the game and early in the Cignetti era. I thought that they played very well for the most part. The defense was disruptive. I think that they'll put in another good performance next week against Western Illinois, which is not a good football team. But you need to build confidence in the whole thing. If you get better between week 1 and week 2, I think is going to be really important as well. Pick up that phone, 812-393-2600. Another question, on thoughts on the linebacker play along with the safeties. I thought the linebackers were really, really effective. I thought the linebackers did a great job of supporting in the run game, taking away everything that was, close to the line as scrimmage. I really think that Aiden Fisher did a great job. He had 12 tackles on the day, 4 solo stops, had a couple tackles for loss. I thought that he did a really nice job. Walker the same way before he came out of the game late, but I really liked what I saw from him as well. In terms of the defensive backs, I felt that the defensive backs maybe could have done a little bit better job of just being closer to receivers when they caught the ball. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't that FIU had some big chunk plays or anything like that. But again, I'm looking longer picture and against teams that are maybe a little bit stronger when it comes to just their overall program. You want to be able to break up a few more passes than what Indiana did. Again, they weren't terrible, but I thought that they did a nice job in being able to make some stops. We got a caller here, so give you just a second. Caller, give me your name and where you're from.
This is Charlie from Ellisville. And Ken, do you think Kurt Cignetti is going to be the head coach for the Indiana Hoosiers for a while?
Well, thank you very much for the call, Charlie. I appreciate it. And, Cignetti is going to be the head coach, for a while. Obviously, he's going to build it, obviously, a little bit younger. And I will go ahead and let everybody know that I recognize that voice because that is Charlie the intern, 9-year-old Charlie Bykoff, my son calling. And I might hear Charlie on this show here in a couple of weeks. But, Cignetti, I think, got off to a very good start. He's somebody that the Hoosiers are excited to have around. He's going to change the way the program goes about things, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what it is that he's going to do over the course of the next couple of years. Thanks a lot for the call there, Charlie.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right, well, that was nice. I'll take care of that. Matthew asks on the chat, what, if any, scheme tweaks do you think will happen in week 2, or they save those for UCLA in week 3? Sig doesn't seem the type to hold things close to the vest. No, and that was part of what we saw from the offense. We saw a little bit of some wrinkles. I think that was a ton of fun to see. So in terms of changing, just a face, but he's got to get these guys to play the system that he wants to play. And so this was an extended practice if nothing else. They go 1-0. They put together a good outing. Being able to take that next step, I think, is going to be important for consistency. But in terms of wrinkles and stuff, I think they're not going to be ready to make huge changes to what they're going to do. I think you're going to see a lot of the same thing next week. I'm looking excited, just to see if that continues, because I'm a guy that really loves defense. Another chat question: Cooper and Press reminded you of Tandon Doss, a strong short pass possession receiver. I could see that. Doss comparison. He's somebody who has good hands, but some big playability. Maybe not as, I don't know. I remember Doss being a little bit bigger, but that was a long time ago now, and I'm getting older. So, Lord knows exactly, if that my memory is fine on that. But that is, I could see that comparison, to say the least. Douglas says we had passes to 7 different receivers, which is good. And on the whole, what kind of separation were we seeing all game from my viewpoint? I thought they did a nice job. Of getting open. You could have had a couple of bigger plays had guys maybe caught the ball, or it could have been another couple of points. You had a very nice running back option pass situation where he just shorted the pass. I think that's something that we'll see it again at some point. But I had seen that in practice, and it worked really well. So that's something that I thought that we will see more of. But I did like the separation that we saw from our receivers. I thought that the speed that they showed and the quickness did make a difference. Cameron says, Coach Stig made a post-game comment about the student section clearing out at halftime. Do you think he was unaware of IU fan culture before coming in? No, I don't think he was unaware of it. He just hadn't experienced it. And I think it's a shame that people were leaving the game at halftime. Why'd you come? That's my question. What if you're going to stick around for a half and then just walk out? Look, I know it was warm, but it was warm everywhere around the country, and yet student sections don't empty out the same way. I really would love to see, that culture change quite a bit. And I think it's, winning is going to be, a big part of that. But that was really disappointing to me because I thought the student section was fantastic at the start of the game. And look, I went to IU here. I'm an alum. I understand what this campus is like. I would have liked to have seen them stick around a lot longer for a first game and be able to show the new coach that you have, that he has your support. I think that's really important, and hopefully maybe it'll open some eyes for the next one. I like him making that call out and saying, hey, we got to make sure that people stay in the stands. I still think that's really, really important. Another question, will IU be able to run block like that against Big Ten teams? Notice they were pulling tackles and tight ends more than under Tom Allen. And I'll tell you, before I get to that, remember the number is 812-393-2600. Lines are open. In terms of the blocking, I thought that they did a really nice job of opening up holes. That was something from where I sit in the press box about the 50-yard line. You could really see plays develop well, and I thought guys did a very nice job of opening holes and opening lanes for the runners. And I thought the running backs did a fantastic job of just hitting the hole quickly. That's something that I think has been missing. And, what we saw from Lawton, what we saw from Ellison, both of those guys loved the way that they hit the hole and went hard. I think that is a huge key to this run game, and I like the way that the Hoosiers were able to get a push. Now, you could say, hey, it's Florida International, and I understand that. But I've also seen so many of these games where Indiana didn't control the line of scrimmage against non-conference teams, and they did this time around. And I think that being able to take care of business like that against Florida International at least sets a nice tone. You had some penalties a little bit later in the game that were sloppy that I actually think will end up being a positive in the short term because it's a coaching staff that can really go ahead and build off of that and use it as a learning situation because the Hoosiers did a nice job of running the ball and opening lanes, and you want to see that continue. Got another caller, so when you hear the beep, give me your name and where you're from.
Hey, Ken, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine.
All right, this is Ryan from Bloomington. Just want to say, though, it wasn't exactly glamorous. Overall, just can't be too disappointed with the win. First game of the year, whole new staff, lots of new guys. I wanted to say I thought the simpler things on the defense, like open field tackling, looked a lot better than recent years. So I just want to call to ask you, is there one thing that you're really hoping to see improved other than penalties on the O-line? And did you think the loss of Nick Kidwell affected the sloppiness of the O-line?
Appreciate the call, Ryan. Thanks very much. I think that this is a team that did flow to the ball a lot better than we saw in the past couple of years, and that's what was so disappointing because of the fact that Tom Allen was a defensive coordinator. He's a defensive guy, and that to me was one of the disappointments that we saw from the last couple of years was that defense, and in terms of the running backs. You just have to have guys that stay disciplined on the offensive line and continue to work. You had the exact right description for this, to where it wasn't glamorous. There was nothing glamorous about the win, and I agree with that absolutely completely. Buck Sewer on the post game, he said, it was good. The game was kind of boring, and he's not wrong about that. He's not wrong about that. It was a very workmanlike thing. But again, I go back to having covered this team. This is my 20th season. I've seen a lot of times when it wasn't nearly. The game was more exciting. There were a lot more points, but it wasn't exciting in a good way if you're an IU fan. I remember, I believe it was Southern Illinois. Indiana won like 49-48 during the Kevin Wilson era. That was not great, but you know what? It's a nice start. It's a win. You can't complain about that. And very excited for the future under this team. 812.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ryan. 812-393-2600. Lines are open. Don't be afraid to give me a call on the chat and say, let's hear it for a tight end tutty, by the way. A couple of nice misdirection throws on a tight end delay. Yeah, let's talk about that. It was the first Horton play was very, very much so a situation where hi, how's it going? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Have somebody coming by and giving me a beverage here in the parking lot. I really, really appreciate that. I'm going to have that. It was the play that the first touchdown of the Curt Cignetti era, Rourke to Horton for a touchdown. Peegs.com's Matt Weaver was fantastic in calling it out. He said, hey, you know what? That's the same exact kind of play that Peyton Manning would throw a lot of touchdowns to Dallas Clark. And I really that was spot on. It was a great play call. I would absolutely love it if Cignetti knew that and called that play just for that. But it was great. I love tight ends. I think that they're incredibly important when they can be pass catching options, and maybe that was lacking a little bit in last year's attack. But boy, I'm very, very excited for what I saw with that group. 812-393-2600 is the number. We'll stay on the air for as long as you guys want to give me a call. Happy to do it. Patrick says that the upstairs was posting photos of a packed bar. And look, this is a great college town. There's no question about that. You have a packed bar, and I don't understand. There's enough kids and enough people in this town on football Saturdays to have both a packed bar and packed stadium. You have alcohol is served at the stadium. There was more concession stands, more food. If you were at the game, I want to hear what your game day situation was like, or what your experience was like. I know a lot of thought and time and money have been poured into that during the off season. Hopefully there were improvements there. I have no sense of what it was like in the stands, but I know in the past, especially on warm days, I've heard complaints about getting water and things like that. IU put in a lot of time and money on it. Give me a call, let me know, or let me know in the chat what your game day experience was like. 812-393-2600. This is a good start to the IU season. You get a win, you get a dominant win, you beat the hell out of a team that you're supposed to beat the hell out of. That is really, really important. Matthew on the chat says, what does progress look like in week 2 for the team? You step on their neck from opening kickoff. I mean, that's basically it. You find that consistency that you will have, and you step on their neck, and you beat them soundly. I think that's really important because you want to get off to that good start, set a tone, and raise your confidence. I think that's something that's incredibly important for this ball club. We also have somebody asking, given what we saw today, how well do you think we'll hang with UCLA? I like this as a good start. A good start. I like the angles that I saw from the defense. I like the speed that I saw. I will fully admit I have not been watching a ton of UCLA football in the past several years. But you know what? This is a team that has some weapons. It has some guys. The one thing that stood out last year was finding a star on either side of the ball. It was real difficult. Who was the face of the program? And to me, that was a challenge last year. I think that it is being able to develop some guys who become consistent playmakers is going to be really important. So next week, I want to see Ellison be as effective as he was today. Lawton the same way. Price the same way. Rourke the same way. And if you do that, then I'll feel better about being able to and show consistency on the defense and control both sides of the line. I'll feel better about where they're going against UCLA. So I think that's really important. Also have a thing in the chat saying, what do you think about Rourke maybe hold on to the ball for a little bit? Didn't see a lot of 3 and 5 step and fire, a bit of hesitancy. I didn't take it as hesitancy, honestly. I took it as patience. So I could see what you're saying there, but I also think it was important that he had the time to throw the ball. I mean, he was not running for his life. I thought that they did a very nice job. FIU, I think, cranked up the blitzes a little bit in the second half to try to create more pressure on him. And, you know, they weren't necessarily successful. They got to him a little bit, but didn't seem to rattle him too much. And I think that, again, his veteran patience was what you saw, and he was willing to hold on to it a little bit more and let routes develop. I think that that's something. They ran a lot of some wide receiver screens, some tunnel screens. I'm not wild about going to that well too often, especially the tunnel screens. I think can get a little bit chaotic, but you have to feel good about the fact that this is a Hoosier ball club that didn't turn the ball over. You didn't have any interceptions by Rourke. Didn't even have really a lot of any bad throws from Rourke. I think that was great. Indiana defensively holds Florida International to just 53 yards rushing, 129 yards passing. I was impressed with what I saw there. And again, this was an offense that put up 400 yards and 31 points in a non-conference game in a season opener. Real happy with that situation. So the phone number 812-393-2600. I'll give you a couple of more minutes to call before I wrap this thing up. But I think that it is. I think it was important for Indiana to get off to a good start. Yeah, you have to continue it week after week after week. But you can only play the opponent in front of you. I see in the chat, we had just the idea of being able to find that consistency. We had a comment in the chat. It got pulled back, so I won't bring that up. Somebody's changing their wording there. 812-393-2600. I will be out here after games in the parking lot. And this is the first week, so I mean there's a lot to work out here. Being able to, I'll have a banner that I'll put out. Hopefully, be able to have fans grab the mic and talk out here. I think is going to be really important, and I want to make this a thing. I want to make it work, and I want to build it. I appreciate. All the comments and everything, and even being able to put this and answer this on the chat. To me, it's worthwhile because that's as good as a call to me. That feels good. This also will replace the morning after. I record this, and it will go up on the morning after Peegs podcast that I've been doing for several years. This will replace it, so people will be able to hear all of it. And I'll also, in the future, put in a little note about the press conference audio from Curt Cignetti going in there as well. So again, this is something that's a work in progress, but boy, I'm excited for what I've seen this year. Final thing. Patrick, who says he would love to call in, but has a loud kid in the background. I know what that is like. On the defensive line, was happy they were able to keep the quarterback contained, and that was something that Cignetti talked about. Was that he's a mobile guy, and he didn't get out and make a bunch of chunk plays. He was never very comfortable, I will say, when he's out there. I'll just bring up the stats and tell you about chunk plays. Chunk plays are gains of 10-plus yards, or runs of 10-plus yards, or pass plays of 15-plus yards. Florida International today had 0 chunk plays. That's 0 passing chunk plays of 15 yards or more. In today's college football, that's pretty incredible. In terms of running plays, 1 play was of more than 10 yards. One running play more than 10 yards. It was a 23-yard pickup late in the game, late in the fourth quarter at the 56-second mark. So 59 minutes into the game, that's when Indiana gave up its first 10-plus yard run on the day. Can't be unhappy with that at all. And so the Hoosiers have to be happy with the win. There's a lot to fix, but boy, it's a lot better than going home with an L or playing a close game. Well, that's all the time we have on the Peegs podcast postgame. I want to thank you for listening, and I'll remind you to visit Peegs.com for the very best in IU football and basketball coverage you're going to find anywhere. Nobody covers Hoosier recruiting better than Jeff Rabjohns, Matt Weaver, Trevor Andershock, and Jared Kelly. So come be a part of a thriving and exciting community on Peegs.com. Folks, you are not going to be disappointed. Folks, we're out of time, but for now, and for Mike, Jeff, I'm Mike. There you go. I screw this up all the time. I always do it live. It's just still there with Mike Pegram. But for Jeff, Matt, Trevor, and Jared, I'm Ken Bykoff saying thanks for listening, everybody.